Okay, bestie, pull up. Grab your tea, your coffee, whatever you got, because today we are getting into it. Welcome to Homegirl Bible Study, where we break down the word like your big sister who actually did the reading. No judgment, no church voice, just truth. Today, we're going all the way back, like in the beginning back. We're talking about Cain and Abel. Now, before you say, girl, I already know this story. No, ma'am. You know the highlights. But we about to get into the full story. And trust me, it hits different when you really understand what was going on. Let's get into it. So real quick, let's set the scene. Adam and Eve just got put out of the Garden of Eden. They out here in the real world now. No more paradise, no more walking with God in the cool of the evening. They made their choices, and now they're dealing with the consequences. But life goes on, right? Because that's what it does. Eve gets pregnant, and she has 2 sons. First comes Cain, then comes Abel. Now these 2 brothers grow up, and they both find their lane. Cain becomes a farmer. He's out here working the ground, growing crops. Abel becomes a shepherd. He's tending flocks, raising animals. 2 brothers, 2 different paths, same God watching over both of them. And this is where it gets interesting. So one day, both brothers decide to bring an offering to God. This was how people worshiped back then. You brought something to give to God as a gesture of honor and gratitude. Cain brings some of his crops, some fruit from the ground. Abel brings the firstborn of his flock, and not just any animal. The Bible says he brought the fat portions, the best of what he had. And here's what God does. He looks at Abel's offering and he accepts it. He looks at Cain's offering and he doesn't accept it. Now, before we keep going, let's sit here for a second, because this is where people get confused. Like, why did God reject Cain? Was he playing favorites? No, sis. God is not petty like that. The difference wasn't what they brought. It was the heart behind it. Abel brought his absolute best, intentionally, faithfully, with his whole heart. Cain, he just brought something, some crops. No real thought, no real sacrifice, no real heart behind it. God doesn't want your leftovers. He wants your first fruits, your real effort, your intentional worship. And deep down, Cain already knew that. That's why what happens next is so telling. When Cain realized God accepted Abel's offering and not his, the Bible says his face fell. He got tight, like visibly upset. And God, being the loving God he is, comes to Cain directly and says, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted?" God was basically saying, baby, this is fixable. You know what you need to do. Do better and I got you. But then God says something that should have stopped Cain in his tracks. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Let me translate that into 2026 language real quick. God said, the temptation to do something you're going to regret is right there waiting on you. Don't let it win. God gave Cain a warning, a direct, personal, loving warning, and Cain ignored it. Cain goes to his brother Abel and says, let's go out to the field. And when they get out there, Cain kills him. And I need you to understand how heavy that is. This is the first murder in all of human history, brother against brother. And it came from jealousy, comparison, an unchecked heart. God comes back to Cain and asks, where is your brother Abel? And Cain, with all the audacity, says, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Sis, he lied to God. Like God who sees everything. God who was just talking to him. He really tried it. And this is the part that gets me every time. God says, what have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. God heard Abel's blood from the ground. Nothing is hidden from him. Nothing. And just like Adam and Eve before him, Cain's choices had consequences. God curses him. The ground he worked so hard to farm would no longer produce for him. He'd be a restless wanderer for the rest of his life. Okay, so what are we taking from this? 1. Jealousy will lie to you. Cain didn't have a Cain problem. He had a heart problem. He looked at his brother's blessing, and instead of checking himself, he checked his brother. That's what comparison does. It turns your focus from your own growth to someone else's success, and that never ends well. 2. God sees your heart, not just your actions. You can go through all the motions, show up to church, post the scriptures, say the right things, but God is not moved by performance. He's moved by sincerity. Bring him your real self, your real best, not your leftovers. 3. God will warn you before you fall. He warned Cain. He warns us too. That check in your spirit before you send that text. That unsettled feeling before you make that decision. That's not anxiety. That's God saying, sin is crouching at your door, sis. Don't open it. Listen to it. 4. Your choices have a ripple effect. Cain's decision didn't just affect him. It affected his family, his future, his entire legacy. Every choice we make touches more than just us. Move accordingly. So the next time you feel yourself getting in your feelings about somebody else's blessing, remember Cain. Not because you're a bad person, but because that spirit of comparison and jealousy, it's been around since the literal beginning of time, and it has never, not once, led anywhere good. Check your heart. Bring your best. Listen when God speaks. And mind your business, bestie. That's a wrap on episode 1 of Homegirl Bible Study. If this hit different, share it with a friend who needs it. I'll see you next time.